Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Hope everybody enjoyed their Fat Tuesday. If you're down on the Gulf Coast in New Orleans, around that area, I hope that you all enjoyed your Fat Tuesday. It's always a fun time. Shouts out to everybody that was out there. I've seen a lot of the pictures, and I had a lot of family members out there. It seemed like they were really enjoying themselves. But thank you so much also for checking out this edition of the State of the Saints podcast. And yes, we are live. Okay, I can see everybody. I can see everybody. Beautiful comments and posts. All right, shouts out to everybody that's watching this also at work, at home, on or listening on the go. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate that, man. Much love to you. Before we get started, I'm very excited to announce that yours truly, once again, has been selected and approved to go and attend the 2026 NFL Combine. So I found out on yesterday. Shouts out to the NFL for allowing me to be able to cover my third NFL Combine, man. I'm excited about that. We leave out next week. So I ask you all to keep it locked right here to the State of the Saints podcast. We're going to be them boots on the ground for y'all, all right? We the boots on the ground, as y'all know, giving you all the content that you need, asking questions for some of the most well-known players that are coming out of college and into the 2026 draft. So keep it locked, man. Keep it locked here to the State of the Saints podcast. Also want to give a special shout out to Yahoo Sports, covering the State of the Saints podcast, putting my beautiful podcast, our beautiful podcast, on their platform. And also a special shout out to Bleacher Report as well, where you all can check out my daily videos talking about different topics from the New Orleans Saints. I do different shorts there. I do also do shorts here on this channel for those that may not, check out Bleacher Report, but please download the app. That stuff, really comes in handy and helps me out a lot. Helps, me to grow and also the channels to grow. So make sure that y'all checking out those videos as well. On this edition, I just thought that I'd take a few minutes because I haven't been going live as of late. I've been really putting together this series called Why the Saints Should Draft. And I know some of you are probably wondering, man, TJ want the Saints to draft everybody. I think I got to put it into context here, okay? It's not the fact that the Saints are going to, draft these guys, or the fact that I just necessarily want to see them as a New Orleans Saint. I have broken down a lot of the first round talent, which is the reason I haven't been going live, been kind of burning the midnight oil and researching these players in order to come up with this series. Now, coming up really soon, probably going to be about the end of the day. I'm in editing right now. We're going to be focusing in on linebacker Sonny Styles. He's a linebacker from Ohio State, a very highly touted linebacker. Could possibly hear his name called early in the top 10. And some draft boards even have the New Orleans Saints taking him at number 8. So broke down Sonny Styles. I'll have that video out for you all, hopefully, by the end of the day. It's probably going to come probably late on the night after I-10 Bible study. But at the end of the day, make sure that you're checking out Why the Saints Should Draft series. We already got 3 installments. The last installment we did was on Carnell Tate. Before that was Ruben Baines in episode 2. And then episode 1, we have Jeremiah Love. So make sure that y'all check it out. We got a few more videos that we're going to be putting out. Going to be doing one on Caleb Downs, going to be doing one on Jordan Tyson. And you're also going to hear probably some players that the Saints will probably have to make some moves in order to see the Saints draft. So they're going to have to move up to get those guys. But at the end of the day, it's all in good fun. So it's very simple for those that are new here. All you have to do is put your comments in the chat. We'll go from there. I'll answer your questions. We'll go for about, let's say we'll go for another 20 minutes here. So we're going to be answering your questions and making sure that everybody, voice is heard for the most part. All right. And if you just so happen to be catching this show when it's all said and done, you can feel free to put your comments inside the comment box at the end of the show. And, I check it from time to time. I'll try to see if I can actually, answer your questions. All right. But let's go ahead and get started while everybody just thinking of some questions to ask or comments to make. Let's talk about the offseason. I talked a little bit in a short video about Chris Olave and, answering the question, should the Saints pay him like a top wide receiver? And, Chris Olave really came alive towards the end of the season. I think it was mostly because, and I'm going to stand by this, I think it had a lot to do with Rashid Shaheed being traded away. As crazy as that sounds, I think that Rashid Shaheed was a down the field threat, and that was the element that the Saints would use when they had Rashid Shaheed on the field. And because of that, you had Chris Olave kind of running those short intermediate routes and using his footwork and route discipline, which he is really good, he has really good footwork, really good route discipline. But, how Chris Olave bread was buttered was him being a down the field threat at Ohio State when he was in college. I mean, you had Garrett Wilson, you had Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, they had a bunch of talented guys. For a short period of time, they had Jamison Williams. So he was the guy that was a down the field threat. So when Rashid Shaheed left, that opened up that down the field threat element for Chris Olave. We seen big explosive plays. We remember that 70-plus yard touchdown that Tyler Shuck threw to him in Carolina. We remember that deep pass that he caught again, I want to say against Carolina on the left-hand side, to really set up a big play for the New Orleans Saints. So at the end of the day, Chris Olave really came alive and really started to improve as a wide receiver because he was able to unlock a lot of his skill set and a lot of his talents and everything that he can possibly do. So that pretty much set up a second-team All-Pro season. Now, we've had conversations here on the State of the Saints podcast. If you've been rocking here for a minute, you already know that I really don't look at Chris Olave as a true number one receiver. He has number one talents, number one abilities, but I just don't see him as a number one guy, a top shelf wide receiver. He can be a number one, like if your number one goes down, but at the end of the day, I don't really see him as that. Now, this could completely change if Tyler Shuck ends up being everything Saints fans feel he can be, and Chris Olave becomes his number one target. Maybe we'll see a different version of Chris Olave now that you have somebody throwing him the ball and not having him catch passes that might lead him to the local medical facility. But at the end of the day, you might see something completely different. And maybe, the contract, if the Saints were to pay him as a top 3 wide receiver in the league, maybe you'll see that production, come alive. But I do not feel like the Saints need to pay him that much. And honestly, if his representation is realistic, I don't think they'll be asking for that. Now, we have to understand that the NFL has given the owners of these respected teams a lot of money. We know that the salary cap has increased tremendously because the NFL is booming. But, we also have to look at things, from a different perspective, right? If we're talking about guys like Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, who make about $32 or $33 million, per year, you have to believe that maybe Chris Olave is going to be making maybe $33.5 or $34 million. And that's just the breaks. Like, it's not about how great you are. It's just about being available. And a lot of these teams, they may not want to pay these guys, but these agents, the representation wants them to set the market. So I think you're going to see Chris Olave making $33-34 million a year because that's just what the market is. That's where his availability is. And they're going to use that second team All-Pro, as an incentive. Like, okay, man, look, he was a second team All-Pro, and you have to look at the fact that he didn't have Tyler Shuck at the beginning of the season. You probably had questions about him playing the entire season because of the concussion issues. He played the entire season. He had over 156 targets, 100 catches, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. So imagine what he can do with a quarterback that he can really, truly have a relationship with and a chemistry with. So all going to be great selling points for Chris Olave to be able to get his bread. I am never objective towards a player like getting bread at all. Like I just say, like, based on what their value looks like, But if they exceed that value when it comes to compensation, I have no problem with that, because we know that the NFL is going to do what the NFL wants to do. If a player stops giving production, guess what? They're not going to pay that player. That's just the business, right? So this is just business at the end of the day. And I really honestly feel that Chris Olave is going to be paid handsomely. And if he ends up getting more than some people may like, as long as he goes out there and he continues to play and he continues to improve, I think that he'll be just fine. Now, we'll talk later on about what the Saints should do as far as, him not truly being that number one guy. Do you go out and draft maybe a guy that can end up being that number one guy, or maybe you try to set up an offense that can cater to Chris Olave's skill set to justify the hefty price tag that he has right now? So I don't have an issue with him getting paid. I just think that, you also have to look at what you feel he will be able to be down the line. I think that as long as he's healthy, he's going to be a contributor. I think that, he's going to get better and better, because it seems like, he wants to get better. He wants to justify the Saints drafting him. He wants to be that number one receiver. So hopefully, with a quarterback like Tyler Shuck that can get him the football and, good things supposedly on the horizon when it comes to the Saints offense, maybe Chris Olave will justify the Saints giving him an extension, which I feel like that's going to come. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of when it comes. So let's go ahead and read some of your comments here. And Trey says, do you think the Saints should take a receiver or running back at 8? Trey, I think that the New Orleans Saints need to draft Jeremiah Love. And it's not because of the highlight tapes. I think everybody's seen Jeremiah Love and how explosive he is. Everybody see him running away from defenses, and trust and believe, man. I mean, I've watched so many different games on Jeremiah Love to give you all that 6-minute video, the highs and the lows. Like, he is as advertised. Like, he is a dynamic running back, and he's a difference maker. And I just think that the Saints need an offense where you're not looking for Tyler Shuck to perform miracles every single week. And look, I have nothing against Alvin Kamara at all. Alvin Kamara is an all-time great New Orleans Saint, but the guy has not been healthy. And to me, I just think that when it comes down to it, you have to be available for your football team. You can sit in your locker and give like these 10-minute interviews about what the team needs to do, but in order for that team to reach full success, they need their best players on the field. And excuse me, Alvin Kamara has not been on the field. And this is just a reality. When Alvin Kamara has been on the field over the last couple of years, he has left a lot to be desired as well. I don't know if it's just the fact that he's frustrated or the fact that he just feels like he has to save himself for another day because of how important he is to the team. But even if that's the case, he hasn't been able to sustain the ability to be able to stay healthy throughout the entire season. So the Saints got to do what's best for the team, getting themselves a running back that has that type of ability and that type of dynamic to be able to run in between the tackles, catch the ball out of the backfield, and make somebody miss, where you're not just relying on the perfect offensive line blocking in order for a running back to get daylight. So Jeremiah Love would be my choice. Now, the reason I didn't say a wide receiver is because if you look at these wide receivers, and I'm telling you all, I know we look at the main names like Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson, right? We look at those guys and we're like, okay, man, those are the top tier. Those are the creme de la cremes. And Saints fans want that, right? But you can get guys like Omar Cooper in the second round, Elijah Surratt in the second round, right? I mean, you could get good players in the second round at the wide receiver position. And that's not devaluing the position either, because the Saints got Michael Thomas in the second round. Like, you can get a difference maker in the second round. T. Higgins for the Cincinnati Bengals was a second round pick. So you don't have to rush out here and just be like, okay, I'm going to just get this wide receiver right here. The Saints, they look decent at the wide receiver position. Like, I don't know if people paid attention, but Chris Olave isn't a scrub, and neither is Devon Vele. Like, Devon Vele really came alive. And if Devon Vele can give you what we saw last season, then the Saints can be okay. And not to mention guys, like Jalen Pope, that's really, really good. I don't think Saints fans realize how good that guy is because they haven't seen him play, right? So it's not like the New Orleans Saints are just struggling to try to find something, or they just have to go out here desperately trying to find a receiver that can be out here and give them 11, 12, or 1,300 yards. They got guys that are capable of making plays inside the locker room right now. So if they were to get a wide receiver in the second round, I think they'll be fine. But I just think that Jeremiah Love is a difference maker. And we have seen this over the last couple of years, man, where teams draft these dynamic running backs early in the first round, like the Detroit Lions. Like, people thought the Detroit Lions were insane when they had David Montgomery, and then they got Jahmyr Gibbs early, right? They thought they were crazy. But look, Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the most dynamic all-purpose backs in the NFL. Bijan Robinson, the Falcons drafted him. You don't like the Falcons, but you know that Bijan Robinson is a beast. And he's a guy that can make guys miss, and he makes plays. I know we all seen that game on Monday Night Football when he basically single-handedly destroyed the Buffalo Bills. Like, it's one of those like things where a lot of people aren't chomping at the bit to get a running back in the first round. But when they possess the all-purpose skills that can be a true difference maker on a team, why not? And the Saints can use a guy like that. Like, you don't want to go into 2026, even though you're excited about Tyler Shuck, put all your hopes and dreams on the quarterback's arm. You would like to see Tyler Shuck maybe dump it down to a Jeremiah Love and him turning a play that would have been probably 2 yards into 7 yards to 14 into 28. This is what you want. And it's something that the Saints haven't had in a very long time. Saints fans it's been a minute since the New Orleans Saints fans have watched their televisions on Sunday and saw a running back just single-handedly take over a game. Like, just excited to see the running game in full swing. It's almost to a point over the last couple of years, you were like, why the hell are they still running a football? So Jeremiah Love can change that for the Saints. So to me, I would draft Jeremiah Love because you can draft yourself a wide receiver in the second round who can be dynamic, who can be that possession guy and can be a 50-50 ball catcher. Because like I said, they got a lot of really good wide receivers in this draft. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, folks. Don't think Olave has the physical makeup to maintain number one receiver, in my opinion. Yeah, I think that he's not the contested catch guy. He's not a Cornell Tate, right? He's not that type of guy that, you just throw the ball up there and he can just square his body a certain way and he can box a defender out in order to catch the ball. That's just not Chris Olave's game. Like, Chris Olave is a fundamentally sound wide receiver. Like, he's like, even though he's really fast, he can still have life once like he starts to get older and he starts to slow down because he's still sophisticated enough to be able to go into the slot in order to make plays. Now, the only thing is, like, what are you thinking about, is concussion issues and stuff like that, being in the slot. But if he can get that under control, which is not, it's pretty much out of his hands. You're just trying to go out there and make plays. But if the guys can smile upon him in order for him to sustain success and stay, healthy, I think that, he can be a fundamentally sound guy when his speed kind of diminishes if it does. So, but at the end of the day, you don't have to possess a contested catch dynamic to be a number one receiver. As long as you can run disciplined routes, be a little bit of a technician and also be able to throw the ball, when they throw the ball down the field, catch it consistently. So, you don't have to like be Michael Thomas. You don't have to be A.J. Brown. I think that we watched the NFL throughout the years and we start to see those big, 6'4", 6'5" type wide receivers like Megatron and DK Metcalf and Julio Jones, who have just took the league by storm. And now it's like, man, that is a number one guy. But you can still make plays. You think about Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown wasn't 6'5". He was probably around the same height and size as Chris Olave. Now, you got to have some dog in you consistently in order for you to be that number one. And, you got to stay focused. And you have to have a little bit of luck, too, when it comes to the battle that you have to go through every year of attrition. But I think that he's a good wide receiver. Now, and he has room to improve. I don't think that they even scratched the surface of what Chris Olave can be as a wide receiver, but he has to be able to tap into a side of him that he probably hasn't before in order for him to reach that full potential. I don't see Kamara getting cut. I just bought a Kamara jersey earlier this month. so you invested in him not getting cut. Now, I don't think that Alvin Kamara. I don't think Alvin Kamara is getting cut, Jerry. I don't. I don't think that's how the Saints operate. I think that the Saints look at him as being too valuable. Now, I want to say this, man. I want to say this, and I might rub some people the wrong way, but it is what it is. I like Alvin Kamara, but I always say that Alvin Kamara is the type of player that he lives the life of football isn't who I am, is what I do. And I want to break this down for a lot of people, because sometimes people eat, sleep, breathe football. That's all they do, because they have this unquenched thirst of being great. Like, soon as the season is over with, they're in the lab, they in the gym, they working out, they climbing hills. Like, we all heard the stories. Well, some of the OGs probably heard them more than the young OGs. But we hear about these stories about guys like Jerry Rice, who, won these Super Bowls, but he was right back to the hill again because he always felt like his spot was in jeopardy. He always felt as if he had to prove something. Although everybody, if you even to this day, I want to say Jerry Rice retired in 2002, 2003, something like that, maybe a little bit earlier than that. And if anybody is asked who's the greatest wide receiver of all time, they're going to say Jerry Rice. They're going to say Jerry Rice. But he didn't act that way. He acted as if he wasn't, right? He wasn't a guy who rested on his laurels and was like, you know what? I'm great. So let me go out here and party. Let me go out here and, and paint the town, right? He always had this drive to be great. And I'm not saying that Alvin doesn't have the drive to be great. I'm just saying that I just think that football is a job for Alvin. Alvin doesn't really care about personal accolades. Alvin doesn't care about who gets the ball for the most part. But that's fine. Like, you're a good teammate. But at the same time, in order for you to be great, in order for you to tap into that, to me, I feel like you have to have a screw loose. I think that, no matter who comes in, you might like them, you might respect them because they're your teammate, but you're still looking at them as a threat if they play in your position. I don't look at it that way when it comes to Alvin Kamara. And then sometimes I feel like it shows on the field. I'm serious. It shows on the field. There are times when, look, I am sorry. There are times when Alvin Kamara get the ball and there's a chance where Alvin can fight for 4 or 5 yards, he runs out of bounds. There are times where I feel like maybe he could fight or try to pull somebody forward for a couple of yards. He realized that they ain't blocking the way that they should. Oh, well. And me, I just think that it doesn't mean that they're a terrible player. It doesn't mean that they don't try hard. I just look at it like, if you want a player a part of your franchise, you want them to feel like they're constantly having to prove something. Everybody thought it was the greatest thing in the world when Alvin had 950 rushing yards and he had a chance to get 1,000 yards for the first time in his career, and he decided not to play. Oh, it doesn't mean anything to him. Well, some things like that, man, it should matter to me. Like, when I listen to Jeremiah Love, I'm listening to this young kid. He hasn't taken a snap in the NFL, and I don't know what his career is going to be like. I don't. But the guy said, I want to be the greatest running back of all time. That is what I want to be. I want to be the greatest running back of all time. And if that is what you aspire to be, that's the type of guy you want on your football team. An unselfish guy that is going to give you everything that he possibly can give you every single week. And once again, I'm not saying that Alvin isn't giving his all. He trains well. He does the right things. He takes care of his body. But at the end of the day, I would prefer players that want to be and aspire to be great. Like, no matter who they put out there, like, I don't care who you put out there, I'm going to beat them out. Like, my final example would be Pierre Thomas. Pierre Thomas, like, no, the Saints tried desperately to try to put Pierre Thomas on the bench. They brought in running backs from different teams. They brought in Reggie Bush, all these different guys, and none of those players could beat out Pierre Thomas. And Pierre Thomas sitting up here, the undrafted guy out of Illinois who can run a screen better than most, and nobody could take this dude's spot. That is what I would like to see when I'm watching football. I like to see greatness. I like to see guys that aspire to be great, that will go the extra mile. Not because, it's the fourth quarter, but because it's the first quarter and these tough yards that I'm pulling this guy forward, probably going to hype somebody else up. And that synergy is going to come off of me to them. And we're going to have ourselves a really good game because I'm building this bonfire. I already put my log on the fire. I'm ready to put this thing ablaze. Those things matter, folks. They matter. And like I said, that's not a shot. That's just what I've seen. And I've watched quite a bit of Alvin Kamara football. Alfred Andrews, thank you very much, Alfred, for the 499. Says, I'm tired of being one injury away from having practice squad guys at wide receiver. We need a lot of insurance there. Hope we get one in free agency and the draft. I think you will see that. And look, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. I thought my laptop battery was charging. It actually wasn't. It wasn't plugged in correctly. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like you don't want like a bunch of backups, and I get that. I get that. But like I said, just because you don't draft a wide receiver in the first round, don't mean you can't get a dynamic wide receiver in the second round. And I just encourage a lot of you to check out some of these wide receivers, like that. Not just the guys that come from big name schools and what these draft prognosticators are talking about. Go and take a look at some of these other guys that are kind of flying under the radar, and that's really making plays, all across college football. So even if they don't get a wide receiver in the first round, they can get one in the second. I think you would kill two birds with one stone. If you draft Love, you get a wide receiver and running back with him. Yeah, I mean, it also opens up your playbook as well, man. I agree with that. This guy can catch, man. He catches like a wide receiver. I love AK, but it would be crazy to pay him $30 million. Yeah, I agree. I don't think you should pay Alvin Kamara $30 million. That furthers the point that we should get Love because AK not gonna care. Look, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say the dude don't care. All right, that is not the point. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, to me, Alvin Kamara strikes me as a guy that football is what he does, is not who he is. Like, like I said, he doesn't eat, sleep, breathe football. Like, I can't see like Alvin Kamara right now watching tape. Like, man, Alvin, you know what I'm saying? Like, this the all season. Alvin probably somewhere on somebody's runway watching a fashion show or like into like his own like independent ventures outside of football. And look, this guy has carved out a lane. And he has been great in the league enough in order for him to be able to make all of his dreams come true. And that's great. And, but it's not like he's a terrible player. I think we all agree he isn't. But my thing is like some people will stop at nothing for, people to say, man, who are the top wide receivers in the league? Who is the top quarterback in the league? Who is the top running back? And like I said, if Alvin Kamara's name comes up, it's like to him, great. If not, oh well, but I mean, sometimes to me, that can be a good thing. It's a good thing because you have an unselfish football player, but also when do you turn it off? When do you turn it on? If you basically like that the entire time, like you're gonna be like that regardless of what the situation is. In other news, let me see. In other news, your truly is at 943 subscribers now, about 57 away from 1,000. Good job, Jared. Congratulations to you, man. You're going to be reaching that goal in no time. You just said maybe like, about a week and a half ago that you was at 900. So congratulations to you, man. Keep climbing, keep building. TJ, how much of that do you think is attributed to low morale, circumstance, not winning? That's a good question. That's a good question, man. A part of it, I don't feel like it has anything to do with wins and losses. I think sometimes like he thinks about he has to be out there for his team, and why am I out here like absorbing this hit and it's the first quarter when I got 3 more quarters to play? But at the end of the day, man, if you're going to get hurt, you're going to get hurt. And I'm not trying to like not show sympathy towards what these guys go through. Trust and believe I do. But what I'm saying is like, can you turn it off? Can you turn it on? Like, okay, right now it's the first, like if I'm playing football, I'm not thinking about what quarter it is. If I'm playing anything, like I'm not a professional athlete, but if I'm like playing like a pickup game or playing like flag or whatever like that, and they got a clock, I ain't thinking about, man, what quarter it is. I mean, what I got to do in this situation? Like, I'm trying to do everything that I can to get the ball down the field, to shoot the ball, to try to score points. I'm playing basketball, whatever, right? I mean, if you're going to get injured, you're going to get injured. And like I said, I just wonder, like, when is it going to come? When are you going to turn it off? When are you going to turn it on, etc. But when it comes to his contract, like, man, look, that's up to the Saints. And we know that the Saints don't operate like some of these other teams. The Saints are really big on camaraderie. They really big on loyalty. And sometimes it costs them, sometimes it costs them. But at the end of the day, yeah, man, you got to do what you got to do. I'm going to take a few more and I got to go ahead and get up out of here, folks. I got to go pick up Paxton. Says, what about free agency, though? Running back market kind of cheap. Yeah, I mean, look, if the Saints don't get Jeremiah Love, I mean, I'm hearing reports about Kenneth Walker, like Seattle not signing him back. That would be a good pickup. I mean, that would be a great pickup, getting Kenneth Walker. Now, the only thing about Kenneth Walker isn't a every down back. Like, if you want somebody like running between the tackles and wear down the defense, that's your guy, right? But catching the ball, not so much. Breece Hall, like he's a little bit better of a receiver than Kenneth Walker is, but I mean, I would like to see Breece. I would rather see Breece Hall in the Saints uniform. Like, to me, I call me crazy, but I think Devin Neal can do some of the things that Kenneth Walker does. Like, if you notice, like, man, Devin Neal just has to get his health under control. And I know people like, oh man, well, he's young in the game, but if he, like, you see that he got some skills with him. He's talented. And honestly, I'm not in the business of going out here paying guys like market value when you could be using that to draft guys that can be on your team 3 or 4 years that won't exhaust the majority of your cap. So if you could get a guy like Jeremiah Love on a rookie deal, he's not breaking the bank. But you getting somebody like Breece Hall, like this man, like, probably going to want high market value for a running back. So now you're exhausting your cap trying to bring a guy like that in when you can bring in a running back like Jeremiah Love on the cheap. And he can be a part of your team for at least 5 years before you have to pay him. So that's 5 years of really good top shelf production. And you out here basically just paying him, rookie salary. I'll take that over paying a guy who has been in the league for X amount of years. Now, if this player is the missing piece and me drafting this guy means that this is going to get me over the hump to say it, NFC South title, like first round bye, Super Bowl, where do I sign? But when we're talking about building a team, which the New Orleans Saints are doing, like these young players that they drafted, the 9 players they drafted in 2025, these are guys that the Saints hoping that these players become pillars for this team. So continue to build on that. Continue to build. So what? Like, now that you're out of cap hell, don't try to Don't try to fight to get back into it. Draft, do the right things, burn the midnight oil. Let's try to see if we can replicate some of the good things that the Saints have done last year. Let's see if they can replicate that during this offseason process and see if it actually translates to some wins. Instead of going out here, draft, like getting guys that are going to ask for X amount of dollars when you could easily just draft a guy who can give you that type of production, probably even more for less. And finally, let's see. Love will be gone before 8, bro. I don't know, man. I honestly don't know. The only team, and I can't say that. The only team that I can really see, I can sit up here and say maybe, are the Giants. But, like people look at, man, they got Cam Scatterboo. Well, Cam Scatterboo is more of a battering ram back that, it has a physicality about him. They can draft him, right? A lot of people think you're going to get another wide receiver. Maybe. But I can't see the Commanders getting them because Commanders need more. They got Asian defensive players. I can't see Cleveland getting them because they got Quinshon Judkins. I can't see the Jets getting them because they need way more than just a Jeremiah Love. The Giants are like the only team I can just look at and be like, maybe, just maybe, they might end up getting Jeremiah Love. Other than that, I think that he'll be there at 8. I mean, you need defensive players. Like, you need those guys, the Arvell Reese, right? The Caleb Downs. Like, you need those type of players on your team. So, and then you also, like, look at guys like teams like the Cardinals, like, they need offensive line help. Like, this is what they actually need, man. Like, team getting beat up like that, they need offensive line help. So there's a strong possibility he can be there at 8. There's a reason why a lot of scouts have him going to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs pick right after the Saints. They got Jeremiah Love going at 9. So I can understand how you feel. But the Giants are the only team that I look at in the top 10 that can be like, okay, they can draft Jeremiah Love. Other than that, these other teams need too much stuff. Like, I don't see Tennessee drafting. Robert Saleh is the coach. So he's probably going to end up getting like a defensive lineman. Probably going to end up like getting like Arvell Reese, the guy out of Texas Tech, probably a defensive player, and that's probably what they're going to go after. TJ, are we doing a draft stream with the Rens game? Yeah, as long as I don't have any obligations to any of the like stuff like Bleacher Report, like I'll be able to go live. But yeah, I'm gonna say yes right now. But folks, I gotta stop right there. I gotta go ahead and go. But I want to say thank you all for checking out this edition of the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Much love to you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you follow me on X at TJAYJones8. Once again, appreciate the love. Also, make sure that you tune in on next week. I'll be live in Indianapolis for the 2026 NFL Combine. I'm excited. This will be my 3rd time going to the NFL Combine. So we'll have coverage for you all. We'll have videos. We'll have clips, all that stuff. Keep it locked right here to the channel. We'll have that stuff available for you. And make sure that you all tune in. Also, check out some of the shorts that I've done throughout the week. I do a daily short pertaining to the Saints each and every day on Bleacher Report. I do a short here on the channel. Also, continue to watch the series, Why the Saints Should Draft series. We got 3 videos up right now. First episode on Jeremiah Love. Second, we did one on Ruben Bain. Third, we did on Cornell Tate. And the fourth video will be coming out really soon. It will be on Ohio State linebacker Sonny Stone. So be on Sonny Styles. Sorry, Sonny Stone. Somebody put Stone in the chat and made me lose my concentration. But Sonny Styles, we will be doing a video on him that will be coming out really, really soon. All right. Till next time. All I gotta say is, who dat?